Hi, welcome back again. Today we're going to be looking at dividing decimals. So essentially what we're doing when we're dividing a decimal by a decimal is we're going to be multiplying both numbers by a power of 10. So we can end up dividing by a whole number. To decide which power of 10 to multiply by, we're going to look at the denominator. The number of decimal places is the number of zeros to write after the 1. So here, for example, we have 1 and 32 hundredths divided by 4 tenths. So when we look, there's one digit behind the decimal point, so there's going to be 1 0. So 1 and 32 hundredths is the same, divided by 4 tenths is the same as 13 and 2 tenths divided by 4. So let's look at an example of this, what we would actually do. So here, because we have 384 thousandths and we're dividing it by 24 hundredths, there's 2 decimal points, so we are going to multiply by 100 over 100, which would give us 38 and 4 tenths divided by 24. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't necessarily do my division that way. So if I took this and looked at it long division way, if I started with my 384 thousandths and I was dividing it by 24 hundredths, what I like to do is I'm going to move my decimal point over 2 spots here, which means I'm going to move my decimal point over 2 spots. The reason it's important to move is now when I'm dividing, kind of like when we're adding or subtracting, I'm going to line up that decimal point. Now 24 goes into 38 one time. So I'm going to subtract 24 out. 8 minus 4 is 4. 3 minus 2 is 1. So I have 14. 24 doesn't go into 14, which is good, so I'm going to drop down that 4. So now 24 can go into 144. I like to estimate, so 2 goes into 1 or into 14 about 7 times. But I know that 7 times 4 would be 28, so it would be too big. So I'm going to drop this down to a 6. 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 2 is 14. No remainder, so our final answer would be 1 and 6 tenths. That can be really confusing, I know, so let's look at another example. So I'm going to start just with that long division way again. So if I have 585 thousandths, and dividing it by 25 hundredths, I'm going to divide by whole numbers and move this over 2 spots, which means this one's going to move over 2 spots. I'm going to line that decimal point up. 25 goes into 58 twice, which is 50. Bring down that 5. 25 goes into 85 3 times, which would be 75, which is going to leave us with an answer of 10. Because I'm not done yet, I'm going to add in an extra 0. 25 goes into 100 4 times. Remainder of 0, there's no digits left, so our final answer is going to be 2 and 34 hundredths. So now let's look at a real life, an example when we're using a variable. So 5 and 25 hundredths divided by 15 hundredths. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this in my long division, 5 and 25 hundredths. I'm going to divide by 15 hundredths. 2 digits behind the decimal point, which means it's going to go over 2. Now in this particular problem, it becomes 525 then, divided by 15. 15 can't go into 5, but it can go into 52 3 times, which would be 45. 12 minus 5 is 7, 4 minus 4 is 0. I'm going to bring down that 5. 15 goes into 75 5 times. No remainder. Since there's no decimal point it's just brought up at the end. So our final answer is going to be just 35. Now it's your turn. Pause the video and try this one out on your own. Make sure if you're not getting it that you're asking questions so we can go through and review. Here I have 2 and 55 hundredths. I'm divided by 75 hundredths. Once again, I'm going to start by moving the decimal point over 2 spots, which means I'm going to move over this one over 2 spots. Decimal point's going to come straight up from where it is. 75 can't go into 2, can't go into 25, but it goes into 755. We'll estimate and say about 3. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 7 is 21. Plus 1 is 22. So I'm going to subtract. Now we have 30. We'll go ahead and add that 0 and bring it down. 75 goes into 30. We're going to estimate again and say 4. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 7 is 28. 29, 30. The leftovers, so our final answer is going to be 3 and 4 tenths. Now we didn't talk about positive and negatives much in this video, but just keep in mind it's the same rules as multiplication. If the signs are the same, your answer is going to be positive, and if they're different, your sign is going to be negative.